Where else did fire fall from the sky? Before that, Sodom and Gomorrah. Verse 23, Genesis 19. The sun had risen over the land when Lot entered Zoar. Then Yahweh made sulfur and fire rain down from Yahweh out of the heavens upon Sodom and Gomorrah. And he overthrew those cities, the entire plain, and all the inhabitants of those cities. And what grew from the ground? Then Lot's wife, let me show you. In Israel, this pillar of salt is known as Lot's wife. When we go there, it's not really made of salt, is it? I don't think it's made of salt. Who knows what it is or isn't. When we go, we'll put up a little sign, I am Lot's wife. Take a picture with her. And Lot's wife looked back and was turned into a pillar of salt. If fire fell from heaven and consumed a city, do I really need to make Lot's wife into an allegory? God can make a man out of clay. He can turn a person into salt. Yes, people, yes. God is the creator. He can do things that are impossible for us are not impossible for him. He is the God of the supernatural. Abraham got up early that same morning and went to the place where he had stood before the face of Yahweh and looked towards Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the plain. And he saw that, behold, smoke was rising from the land like the smoke of a furnace. And it happened that as God destroyed the cities of the plain, God remembered Abraham and brought Lot out of the midst of the destruction, overthrowing the cities in which Lot had lived. God destroyed a city but saved the righteous man. The righteous man tried to take someone else with him, but that person was disobedient and stayed behind. This is a good lesson for the last days, but it is real. And it happened, just as it is written, and archaeology proves it. God is a God of the supernatural. Strange things will happen if God is involved. So the interpretation is literal and physical, and you can allegorize whatever you want. God can allegorize whatever he wants to give us direction or whatever it may be, but a priori it is literal. There in 2 Kings chapter 1, we have another situation. So the king, King Ahab, sent a captain of 50 with his 50 soldiers, and they went up to the prophet Elijah, who was sitting at the top of the mountain. And the captain said to him, "Hey, man of God." It was Elijah. The king said, "Come down." The king said, "Come down, come here." But Elijah only answered the captain, "If I am a man of God, may fire come down from heaven and consume you and your 50 men." Wow, Elijah, that's a bit much, man. That wasn't really necessary. But the word of the prophet came to pass. If Elijah's word came to pass back then, the two witnesses will be able to do the same, right? Verse 11, the king sent again another captain of 50 with his 50 men. And this one said, "He is a man of God." The king ordered him to come down quickly. Elijah replied, and he said, "If I am a man of God, may fire come down on you again." And it did, it came. Was this literal, allegorical, or spiritual in its profound implications? Was it merely a metaphorical fire of conviction over sin? Or did the individuals actually burn? Did they truly and physically burn? Indeed, fire literally descended from the heavens and physically extinguished the lives of those people. A truly astonishing and terrifying event. Don't even get into whether it's fair or not, my friend, because if you're questioning God's justice, you're in trouble. That's already a bad start. It's already off to a bad start because it's not, God is not, how do you say it? God is not on trial. God is not in the defendant's seat. The ones in the defendant's seat under a death sentence are us. We don't understand what true justice is. That's why we question God's justice, because we have our own sense of justice and we think we know better than God. Anyway, I am completely frozen my screen here still and unable to proceed. That's the saddest thing. Let's do a reboot here. Now let us carefully look at what the disciples truly understood about these significant situations that happened in the Old Testament and how they interpreted them. There are Tico and John. They asked Jesus if he wants them to call down fire from heaven to consume the people of Samaria because they didn't want to receive them. They arrive at the village and are told, there's no place for you here. Jews know. And then it happened when the days were coming to a close for him to be taken up before Jesus ascended to heaven. He set his face with firm, unwavering resolve to go to Jerusalem and sent messengers ahead of him as he went. They entered a Samaritan village to prepare a place for him to stay, but they did not receive him. He really looked like he was going up to Jerusalem, looked like a Jew, so it wasn't going to work out very well, and it was the time of Passover. There was already some tension, some opposition between Samaritans and Jews, so when they saw this, how come they don't want to receive you? Remember, Jesus hadn't died yet, hadn't risen yet, but he spent 3.5 years reshaping these guys' mindset. But he didn't say that the second coming wouldn't happen. He just said that there was something that was going to be a bit different, something they weren't expecting, which would be his death. Then they say, Lord, do you want us to call down fire from heaven to consume them? And so on. What are they thinking about? About consuming those guys with the fire of repentance, about consuming them with allegorical, figurative fire. No, they're thinking about Elijah. They're thinking about Sodom and Gomorrah. They're thinking about the days of the Exodus, leaving Egypt. They're thinking if the Lord has already walked on water, already multiplied the bread, already stopped everything, the Lord can make fire come down from heaven. Because all the parables talked about fire, about hell, about the lake of fire. That's where their minds are. Now it's happening because we're going up to Jerusalem. Now we're going to take the kingdom. Hallelujah for the strength. What are they thinking? They're thinking about that. Their interpretation of the Old Testament text is literal and physical clearly. And Jesus doesn't correct them. He just says, my God in heaven. You are not of this spirit, my dear ones. You still don't understand. Revelation 20. There, at the end of the millennium, we have a similar situation. But when the 1,000 years are completed, Satan will be released from his prison. Yes, he will be imprisoned because he is something real. There is a prison that can hold a fallen angel of that magnitude. 1,000 years will happen because 70 years happened. 70 weeks of years happened. 40 years happened. So 7 years will happen and 1,000 years will happen there. Look on the calendar. And he will be imprisoned for 1,000 years, but at the end of the 1,000 years, he will be released. And he will go out to deceive the nations that exist. In the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, in order to gather them for battle. He gathers them for battle, just gathers them. Their number is like the sand of the sea. So imagine that he has very little time. After 1,000 years, he comes out, traverses a glorious, wonderful, restored land. The millennium, like, wow. Imagine the height of God's glory with a lot of glorified people walking on the earth, working on the earth, and ministering on the earth. But there are those who resisted, who did not receive the mark of the beast, and also did not convert before the second coming. They survived. They were not killed by Jesus because they did not have the mark of the beast. They survived everything, the seals, the trumpets, and the bowls, hiding somewhere. And they spent the millennium here with God, like a kind of Garden of Eden. But like every good fallen human being who still has a corruptible soul, he wants to be independent and will think that Jesus is a cruel dictator. Perfect love and perfect justice are seen as a dictator. He is an extremely cruel dictator. And we get tired. Now finally the prison has been opened. They didn't understand. Wow, so if there was a prison, then everything that's written really is going to happen. The light bulb just didn't go on for them. And he will convince a great multitude as numerous as the sand of the sea. And they will march across the surface of the earth and lay siege to Jerusalem, the camp of the saints, the beloved city that came down from heaven. What will happen to them? Will there be a war? Will there be a fight? Will there be a battle? Guys, let them know. Everyone, you have 1,000 years to warn them. Every human being who is not yet glorified, it won't do any good to fight against God. There won't be a battle. Instead, fire came down from heaven and consumed them. The devil, their deceiver, was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where they already are. Not only the beast, which is the Antichrist, the one who rose from the sea, but also the false prophet, the one who came up from the earth. And they will be tormented day and night, forever and ever. Where is that? Hosea, Zephaniah, which say there will be a place, a portal opening to the lake of fire on earth in Edom. And it will remain open during the millennium. And we'll be able to pass by there. Listen, I don't know. I think God does these things out of compassion, so that those lives who will rebel can have this school trip every year and understand that it's no use trying to fight against the Creator. He gave you a chance to be creation, to be a creature, to live. Be grateful. Stop fighting against Him. You're not gaining anything. And what's the interpretation here? It's the millennium. It's allegorical. It's allegorical because we've reached the millennium. Don't try to fool me. Everything in the millennium is allegorical. Protocol. If with Elijah it was literal, if in Sodom and Gomorrah it was literal, if with the two witnesses, it will be literal. Here it's also literal. And physical. Do you want this existence of sin to never end? I know, I understand, but it will end. Thank God it will end. Let's get back to Revelation 13, only God knows why. Not even I know why. Oh, that's right, because we asked the question, will the false prophet really make fire come down from heaven? He is not God, but supernatural power is upon him because he has an angel with him. And that is possible. If you don't know it's possible, I'm not even going to suggest you do it. Because what if you do it and you end up in complete disarray? You could go to Terreiro de Macumba and see how it works. It works. No way. Don't go because you'll come back with a lot of hanging things. It's not worth it. But the supernatural world, the spiritual world, it is real. It exists. The supernatural exists. The impossible, which is neither rational nor physical nor earthly, exists. We need to be able to understand this, because this will help us interpret these supernatural texts. It is literal, it is physical, and it is supernatural. It's not going to be some little flame from an invisible drone. It's not going to be RARP. It's going to be something supernatural, even though RARP is already doing causing a lot of problems and things, right? We know that nations have these powers and these technologies today, but the Antichrist is not going to use technology. Do you know where else he won't use this technology? In the mark of the beast. He won't need technology. He might add some technology, but the mark of the beast is spiritual, supernatural, and physical at the same time. How do I know that? Because back in the fifth trumpet sounds, and when the terrifying beings from the abyss are finally released, they will only touch those individuals who do not possess the sacred mark of God, which is a spiritual and divine mark upon their very souls. The mark of the beast is something spiritual and supernatural. The demons will know, and he will find a way to make it happen. To be seen and visible to the economic system that will exist at that time, which we don't know what it will be like. Think carefully. You have 7 seals being opened with the destruction of 1/4 of the planet. Imagine the situation on earth when the mark of the beast is established in the midst of it all. Of the tribulation week, at the abomination of desolation, a lot will have already changed from what we know today. We don't know how things will be, so stop taking the supernatural out of it. Add to the supernatural if you want, but don't erase it. Because that's what will draw people in. The miracles, signs, and wonders that the beast will perform will convince many. Very good. I love you too, Jesus. 17. Let's go to Revelation 10, which is much nicer, more interesting. Who, enough talking about beasts, square ones, horned ones, and so on. Shall we? Open your Bible to Revelation 10. I saw another mighty angel coming down from heaven. First, is it an angel? He is mighty, not on earth, but coming down from heaven. What does he look like? He is wrapped in a cloud, very fashionable. He has a beautiful rainbow over his head, or a colorful ark, a vibrant one. It's the same one John sees. On the one who is seated on the throne back in chapter 4, which is emerald, the colors, right? That's where the halo comes from, okay? The halo in Renaissance paintings, they come from this text here. His face was like the sun. It shone so brightly you couldn't really look at him, but John looked and he didn't die or go blind. And his legs were like pillars of fire. He had a little open book in his hand. Give me a little book. A little book. He had in his hand a little book that was open, a scroll, a book that was already open. And he puts his right foot on the sea. Wait, the right one is here. He puts his right foot on the sea and his left foot on the land. This is the vision that John is seeing. A huge angel with the little open book in his hand, standing like this, with one foot on the land and one foot on the sea. Verse 3, and he cried out with a loud voice like when a lion roars. Your editor put the, but it's similar to a lion. After he cried out, the seven thunders made their voices heard in the vision. And when the seven thunders in the dimensions of the Spirit made their voices heard, I was about to write. It's in the dimensions of the Spirit, but John is here and the angel came down from heaven to earth. You're seeing a merging of dimensions here, right? Yes, Professor? We're seeing a merging of dimensions here. And the voice said, indeed, seal. I always protest right away. He should have written it down. Come on, God, why not? I wanted to know what they said. So the angel that I saw, verse 5, standing on the sea and on the land, raised his right hand to heaven and said, what? And he swore by him who lives forever and ever, the same one who created the heavens, the earth, the sea, and everything in them. He swore by God, the Creator, the Father. There will be no more delay. Why will there be no more delay? But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he is about to sound his trumpet, the mystery of God will be fulfilled, just as he announced to his servants, the prophets. Verse 8. Then the voice that I had heard from heaven spoke to me again and said, go, John. Do you see that giant angel there who came down from heaven? All of him, with all that glory. With the little book there, go up to him, get close, and ask for the little book. Yeah, that little book in his hand is going to crush me, right? No, John, don't worry, because here in the supernatural realm of the dimensions, when it gets to your hand, you'll be able to put the thing in your mouth. That's the scroll. Shoved right into his mouth, just like that, in an instant. And with a rather interesting taste, at the very least, I went to the angel and told him to give me the little book. Then he said to me, take it and eat it. It will most assuredly turn quite bitter in your stomach, but when you initially start eating it, it will be wonderfully sweet. I took the little book from the angel's hand and ate it. And in my mouth, really. He said it would be, and it was, right? Sweet as honey. But then I got a terrible stomach ache. Very well. The first question that comes up in this text is the identity of the angel. Who is this angel? Who here has heard that this angel isn't really an angel but Jesus? Everyone? No one? No one? No one? Going once, going twice, internet folks? No one? No one has heard about it? Who is this angel? Give me your opinion. You there in the chat. Going once. I don't know how to leave the phone and type in the chat. I understand that dilemma. Votes. Is it Jesus? Who says it's Jesus? Don't be ashamed to be happy. Who says it's an angel? We have more votes for angels than for Jesus, but I know there are some here who believe it's Jesus. That's not a problem at all. It could very well be Jesus. In my opinion, it's an angel, but it could be Jesus. Many commentators say it's Jesus. Anyway, I can disagree with them without being afraid to be happy. My salvation doesn't depend on the identity of this angel. Person being. It's hard to call him an angel if it's Jesus, but that's okay. If Jesus is already speaking the whole time, why would Jesus appear in the world? I like that question. If Jesus is already talking to John throughout Revelation, he already appeared there. In the first chapter, he talked to him, and John had no trouble knowing who he was, because here he called him an angel. But then later on, there was a moment when John worships the angel. And then comes the question, but did he not get confused? So did he not get confused here in chapter 19? Did he not get confused back there in chapter 10 as well? There are a lot of emotions. Where else in the Bible do I come across a scene similar to this one? How beautiful the answer is in the Old Testament. Let's go. There was indeed a prophet. There was truly a prophet who spoke the truth. And there was an angel who also swore, but he raised both hands. Instead of being on the land and the sea, he was only on the waters of a river. So then who is actually having the vision? There are two, right? There are two. Let's start with Daniel, because Revelation 10, Daniel 10, it's all there in the theme of 10, the number 10 jersey. So let's go. Let's look at the story of this man dressed in linen who is there in Daniel chapter 10. Is everyone ready? Then let's go. Let me see if I want to read something first. Why didn't she make the slide all at once? Come make the slides. Come on, man. Come see how much work it is. Stop complaining. Chapter 10 of Daniel, verse 2. In those days, I, Daniel, was in mourning for 3 weeks, 21 days. I ate no desirable food, nor meat, nor wine. Nothing entered my mouth, nor did I anoint myself with ointment until the 3 weeks were completed. And on the 24th day of the first month, I was by the banks of the great river, the Tigris, and I lifted my eyes. Then I looked and saw a man. And I lifted my eyes, and behold, I clearly saw a man dressed in fine linen, whose slender waist was securely girded with pure, gleaming gold from Uphaz shining brightly. And his body was like beryl, and his face like lightning, and his eyes like torches of fire, and his arms and his feet shone like polished bronze, and the sound of his words was like the noise of a multitude. Now, I need to understand this. Is it Jesus? Is it a theophany? Or is it a master angel? Because there are master angels like that. Going once, going twice? Is it literal and spiritual? Is it allegorical? Let's first look at the interpretation here, at the mode of interpretation. First, the prophet is inside the vision. He's there. Suddenly, an open vision appears, and he sees this being, who is a man dressed in linen. He looks similar to that other one there with a glory. He looks like what John saw. His feet shone like bronze. Then people say, no, but his eyes are like torches of fire. Could it be Jesus? It could be Jesus. His body, like beryl lightning, he really has the appearance of Jesus there in the vision from chapter 1 of Revelation. Shall we continue?